Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get the meeting started. At this time, if y'all will stand for a moment of prayer, please. Our gracious and kind Heavenly Father, Lord, you've granted us another beautiful day. Be with us, Lord, as we go through this meeting tonight. Guide and direct us in the path you would have us to go. Be with our brothers and sisters and our neighbors in North Carolina and South Carolina as they go through the devastation, Lord, that has been brought upon them. And Lord, may you guide them in the way to path to get their lives back to normal as we go forward. Be with us, guide us, and direct us, Lord. Again, I ask in your humble sweet name we pray. Amen. Amen. And while we're standing, we have a young gentleman back there in the back, Mr. Charlie Gibbons. He's going for Eagle Scout. And Mr. Gibbons, if you would please, we're going to let you direct us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, young man. Your mother doesn't have to make a speech, by the way. All right, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, we've got, I've got a couple of, or just one amendment to the agenda. We have been advised by our attorney we've got to go into executive session. Now, we would love to have everybody wait till we get out of executive session when we can finish up with guests and comments, but with the approval of the other two commissioners here, I'd like to move the executive session down to guests and comments and move the guests and comments up to the executive session area to where once the guests and comments are over with, you can stay another 45 minutes to an hour if you'd like to, or you can leave. So I'm going to leave that up to y'all. And at that time we'll be going into executive session. So I need a move in a second to swap executive session with guests and comments.
Second.
Have a move and a second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor of by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Thank you. And also we've got another one here under amendments to the agenda. Add under new business item B, Worley Crossroads three-way stop request. And I'm going to do all these together if I can, Phil. And B, add under action items item E, the Village Land Company LLC notice of notification of water systems dedication. I'd like to move those also as amendments to the agenda under those two items and vote on them as together. So I need a move and a second to approve that also.
So moved.
Second.
Have a move and a second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. All right, we have got those taken care of. All right, and then we've already done item B, approval of the agenda. Or have we done that? No, I just moved. I need a I need a move and a second to approve the agenda now as changed.
So moved.
Second.
I move second to approval of the agenda. Any further discussion? None being, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. All right, that moves us down to item number 6 under the employee recognition. This has been an item that we've done for a couple of years or 3 years now, and Miss Becky Denny has been the co-author of this one and very deserving for the employees of Pickens County. So I'm going to turn it over to Miss Becky Denny.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, it has been my honor to honor our long-term employees, and we have, they're all really good. But we have a 10-year this year, Miss Darlene Handy with the Tax Commissioner's Office. If you'll come up.
And you guys all do a wonderful job.
Thank you.
All of you. Have you got your support back
That's
there?
right.
Have a hug. Thank you. You want to come up for a picture?
That's good.
Let me face the camera. My stomach don't look as big when I face the camera.
It was if you turn.
I'm good.
You good?
Good.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, that brings us down to item number 7 on the consent agenda. We signed the Daughters of the American Revolution Proclamation. it. And it's already been stamped and sealed about Constitutional Week. That has been taken care of. We also, under item B, signed the Marble Festival Proclamation. That was between Pickens County and the city of Jasper for September 5th, 2018. That has been taken care of. Now that brings us down to old business. Item A, approval of the 2018 millage rate. Ms. Fay, you want to give us an overview of that real quick?
I can. The 2018 millage rate, which was the 5-year history was advertised last week, and it was advertised with a notice that it would be approved at this meeting tonight at 5:30. The millage, we did go to the rollback rate. There was an increase in the digest, so we used the rollback rate to equalize the revenue. And the new millage rate is 7.846. And I think the tax commissioner's office is prepared to take all the information down to the Department of Revenue tomorrow and hopefully get the digest approved.
All right. Pardon? I need a move and a second to approve the 2018 millage rate, rollback rate, please.
So moved.
Second.
Have a move and a second. Any further discussion? None being, all that in favor, let by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. All right, Ms. Fay. And then also, item B, approve the 2019 amended budget meeting calendar. I'm going to turn that back over to Ms. Fay also.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't have that on here. I do have all the meetings scheduled, the changes that we had to make, and the dates are still the same. It's October 23rd, 24th, 25th. And can I just email that calendar to you guys with the change?
Please, and if you would, email them to our esteemed media constituents here where they can get it on their calendar in case a citizen wants to come in and listen in on those proceedings. I do so. Right, do I need a move and a second to approve that?
So moved.
Second.
Have a move and a second. Any further discussion? None being, all that in favor, let by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. That has been approved. That brings us down to item C, the approved LMIG for 2019. Mr. Nicholson and Mr. Quinton has given us some options over the last 2 months. They have whittled it down to this because I think the last one come in about 2.3 million, and that was for material only, which was with the cost and rise of material this summer, it really shot the budget over what the county has. But with trimming of what we had to trim to where we can still pave again for next year for the 2019 LMIG program, it comes up to $1,470,000. I'm sorry, $1,470,000, 70.35. And those are the roads that are on that list that hopefully we can set up, that we will set up and pave for next year. Johnny, you were I'm sorry, Mr. Dixon, you or Mr. Quinn, y'all see any way we might be able to add any roads to that between now and then, or do you see any changes coming up? Because I'm assuming fuel prices and asphalt is not going to come down since it's went up $10 a ton this summer.
We expect it to at least hold what it is.
Yeah. And if we get this approved, that gives us the ability to go in there and go ahead and get it turned into the state and get that funds working at that point. So we're still doing 21.85 miles, and this is under the LMIG program. Now, the county is still going to be paving some roads on our SPLOST monies that we've got for next year also. We don't know exactly what roads those are going to be at this time. Okay. Y'all got any questions on these?
I do, are these, pretty much divided between the east and the west, or is it just by need, more or less?
A little of both. It's pretty equal as far as east and west.
But we looked at the roads overall and the condition of the roads overall, and this is the ones we feel like needs it the most.
Thank you.
And if it's a little bit disparate, if it is, you know, we're doing one or two more on the east side and on the west side or vice versa, we are still gonna be paving some roads with our SPOS dollars next year also.
Right.
Yes.
So, as we get all this worked out, but they just want to get this turned into the state where the monies can go ahead and be allocated for this project and get that locked in before this, hopefully the state won't run out of money for the end of the
That
year.
way we usually get the check at the end of December, 1st of January.
Yeah,
That way Ms. Fay can get more projection.
okay. Any other questions on this list here? I need a move and second to approve this road list.
So moved.
Second.
Have a move and second. Any further discussions? None being, all in favor, number saying aye. Opposed, thank you. All right, the LMIG has been approved. All right, under new business, A, approve the county attorney to cast a vote for the AEMC election. Mr. Landrum, you want
We have the annual meeting for Amended College, y'all know, is first Saturday in October. That there will be a board election at that time, and when we have business, a lot of times what the board of commissioners will do is appoint me to cast that vote. But if one of y'all are going to be there and want to do that, we can change the authorization to be one of y'all to stay there for the whole vote, for the whole meeting.
Is it just one contested
It is
race?
just one contested race, that's right. It's the Gilman County Post. David Pierce is the incumbent, and I can't remember the name of the fellow running against him, but he's from Cherry Hall.
The last one,
No, it's fine.
to, normally I try to go to these this time as well as last year. They had me on I've got 2 tours for the Marble Festival, sir, so I'm not gonna be able to make it. Henceforth, the proxy for Phil, or if one of y'all would like to go to that meeting, either or.
He's gonna be there.
I've got to be there anyway. It's not a proxy, it's
Well,
the entity of, like a church or like a church or whatever member.
Okay,
So that's not an actual person points a representative. It's a great meeting if y'all wanted to go. They've got real good music and.
I like the analogy you had. So Reverend Landrum is going to have to be there anyway. If one of y'all want to go, please do so. If not, I need to move a second to give the approval for the county attorney to represent us.
So moved.
Second.
Have a move a second. Any further discussion? None being let that I'm saying aye. All opposed, same.
Thank y'all very much. I just get 2 of the 3 y'all signed below this. So.
Here. We've had a request on item B for Worley Crossroads it's a 3-way stop request. You've got a letter in your packet from the Board of Education in regard to Pickens County Board of Education would like to ask for your consideration of making the intersection of Worley Crossroads and Little Creek Drive a 3-way stop for the following reasons. Little Creek Drive is located in a section of Worley Crossroads with very limited visibility. We now stop the interest of Little Creek Drive on Worley Crossroads to feel it would be safer to enter Little Creek Drive to pick up these students. For safety reasons, at this time we do not travel Little Creek Drive, but have had several calls from parents requesting a 3-way stop. In the past, Pickens County School System buses have had many close calls entering Worley Crossroads from Little Creek Drive, and then due to the angle of the road, curve, and visibility issues, we do not feel comfortably letting buses pull out of Little Creek Drive onto Worley Crossroads without a 3-way stop. We have 13 students that ride the bus in this location. Your consideration of this matter greatly appreciated. Sincerely, Stacy Gilliland, Chief Operating Officer of Pickens County Schools. We looked at the letter. We have got an engineer on contract on an as-needed basis, a traffic engineer on contract on an as-needed basis. And he had been contacted because there's some items that we would like to look at, and this is one of them, and get an engineer report on how we go further. I need your approval to think, because we got three-way stop at Worley Crossroads. We need to do a traffic count on not Grandview, Salvation Army Camp Drive, and then there's another one. What was the other one?
Eagles Perch and Yellow Creek.
Eagles Perch and Yellow Creek. We had a request for a stop sign on Eagles Perch and Yellow Creek. We'd rather do engineering studies on those three and get the recommendations. So that being said, I need to move in second to approve.
Second.
Have a move in second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. That brings us down to item 10 under the finance report, and at this time I'm going to turn it back again to Ms. Harvey for the financial report of Pickens County.
Thank you. The finance report that you all have is for the period ending August 31st, 2018, and that reflects 8 months of our the county's fiscal 2018 budget. Expenditure budgets should not exceed 66.7%. On the revenue side, the total revenue collections for that through August 31st were $8,863,902, and that is 38.98%. For the expenditure side, general government functions, the expenditures were $2,203,902, and that is 56.87%. For the judicial functions, expenditures were $1,984,806, and that's 57.71%. For public safety, expenditures were $8,784,417, and that is 65.91%. And then we go to public works. The total public works expenditures were $1,805,752, and that's 60.16%. For the health department, senior center, and the MATS program, $435,881, and that's 53.92%. For culture and recreation, $600,429, and that's 61.8%. For housing and development, $408,701, and that's 62.03%. So the total general fund expenditures through August 31st are $16,223,888, and that is 62.2%. And that is about 4.5% under the budgeted revenue, the budgeted expenditure amount. For the enterprise funds, the water department expenditures were $1,287,181, and that's 60.04% of their budget. And the airport expenditures are $194,030, and that's 44.05% of their budget. The line item budget reports were distributed to the department heads and elected officials on September 11th, and I have copies of all those detailed reports if you ever need to look at them. Any questions? Good job. Okay. There's one other attachment in your
Request for amendment for the fiscal year 2018 general fund budget, September
It's a
2020.
request for a budget amendment of the general fund. And basically it is just unbudgeted revenue that needs to be budgeted, and then the expenditure side. The fire operations budget needs a revenue increase. They had a donation from Northside Hospital for 3 AEDs, and that was $67,800. And that was the exact purchase price of the defibrillators that they purchased. So that should get their revenue, and then also their capital outlay equipment line. The Parks and Recreation had a donation from Pepsi of $5,000, and then they've accumulated other donations through the year. So they have a donation revenue of $7,300, and they would like to put that on their other purchase services expenditure line to make improvements at the park.
Would you like to move a second to approve?
Yes, please.
Then move a second to approve these fund budget requests.
So moved.
Second.
I'm moving second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, number saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. Those have been approved. Thank you, Betty. All right, that brings us down to, oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Betty, is that all you have?
That's all.
All right, thank you. All right, that brings us down to item 11 under action items. A is the approval of the minutes. We had a special call meeting on August the 15th, 2018. These minutes were sent to y'all through email, and hopefully you had time to review them. Did you see anything in these minutes that we need to have any corrections or changes? If not, I need to go ahead and get approval for these minutes, please.
Second.
Have a move and a second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let me saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. Those minutes are approved. All right. Then on, we had a regular board meeting on August 16th, 2018. Again, those were forwarded to y'all. Y'all see any mistakes or corrections that need to be made in these particular minutes? If you don't see any, I need to move a second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Have a move and a second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye. None opposed? Thank you. All right. On the third one, we had a work session on September 6, 2018. If y'all seen any corrections or admissions that we need to do on this, if y'all don't see anything, I need to move a second to approve these minutes, please.
So moved.
Second.
So move a second. Any further discussion? None being, all that in favor of saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. All right, then we had a call meeting on September 6, 2018. And again, very short, one page. And it also was forwarded. Y'all see any corrections, deletions, or anything we need to do to this? If not, I need to move a second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I'm moving second. Any further discussion? None being, all that in favor of number saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. All right, that brings us down to rezone request. We have a rezone request here. On the back page of this one, whereas Commissioner Pickens County adopted the land use man ordinance in May 2nd of 5. Get to the heart. Now therefore be it resolved, the Pickens County Board of Commissioners that the Pickens County Land Use District amended the following amendment to the Pickens County Land Use Map in regard to 5 contiguous parcels, 033-017-013, 033-017-014, 033-017-015, and 033-017-016, and 033-017-017, totaling approximately 7.5 acres from highway business to rural residential. Planning Commission recommendation on a motion by Planning Commission member Preble, seconded by PC member Thrasher. Planning Commission members voted unanimously, 4 yes to 0 no, to recommend the approval of the zoning of these particular parcels from HB to rural residential. What?
We'll let you know I'm going to be staying.
All right, put in the minutes that Mr. Barnes is going to have to abstain from voting on this particular parcel. I think you've got a brother-in-law or something like that in this one, whatever it is. My wife. All right. I have read through this, Ms. Denny. I need a move in a second,
So moved.
and I will second to approve this. Any further discussion? None being, all that in favor, let it be saying aye. Aye. None opposed, thank you. That has been approved. All right. Have I missed one? Is that all we got on that? All right, down there at item C, we have a readoption of Chapter 16 of Pickens County Code of Ordinances, Buildings and Buildings Regulations. Mr. Alford, can you give me a quick Reader's Digest version of this?
Thank you, Mr. Jones. This is a basic readoption that would not result in new regulations. Language is consistent with state minimum standard codes. County attorney has received this proposal for review, and staff has not received any objections. During the Planning Commission meeting, there was no opposition, and the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval.
All right, why are we readopting Chapter 16? Again, is there something wrong with the original adoption of this law?
It's just a, they go through the codes that they have.
Oh,
Just
okay.
what the state recommends.
All right. Did y'all hear that? Okay. Need a move and a second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I'm moving a second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let it be saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. All right, then, items, Approve second resolution for Sunday sales of distilled spirits by the drink. Please speak on that.
Y'all have already signed this resolution, I think back in August. And if you'll, we discussed at that time, there's a conflict in the code sections as far as the time period for when the call of election goes out with relationship to the date that you adopt the ordinance. There's one timeline that's in the code section that allows you to do this sale by the drink, and then there's another code section in the election code that has a different timeline. Julie and I thought that the safest thing to do was to go ahead and adopt it under both timelines, and so you've already done one, and then this is the second one, but it's the same resolution, and it will still be on the November ballot.
So this is giving the Board of Elections the authority to put this on the ballot where the citizens can vote on it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's
Okay.
exactly like what you had before.
All right, I need a move in a second.
Second.
All right, any further discussion on this particular item? Any questions at all? So this will then line us up with the one that we've already got there.
Yeah, if anybody want to challenge us saying we did comply, we're not real sure which is the correct one. We've got our ideas, but just to play it safe, we'll adopt it both ways. There's nothing stopping us. There's nothing stopping us from adopting as many times as we want to.
Okay.
We're just trying to do it so that the two times that you do adopt it under the two different timelines correspond to get you to that first Tuesday in November.
Okay, all right. All right, any other questions? We have a move and a second. All in favor, let us saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. All right, that brings us down to the Village Land Company LLC notice of notification of water systems. I'll give y'all, you want to do me good?
I can't.
Oh, please, go ahead.
Y'all have already voted on this conceptually. The attorney for the developer has provided this document that does what you've already said you would do, and that's basically give the water system back to the developer. And the county has no obligation to repair it, to do anything to it at all. I just think it's a better practice now that we have the document. Let's have another vote so that Lisa's minutes reflect why this document is in the minutes.
All right, I need a move and a second to approve this notification.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let it be saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed? And also, Phil, in regard to this right here, you want to discuss another item?
Yeah, the attorney for the developer sent an email to me late this afternoon, and I've not had a chance to discuss this with y'all, but they're wanting permission from the county to install the private sewer line to connect them to Big Canoe Utilities. From this development, I believe it goes down Steve Tate Highway and then goes into Big Canoe to connect into their system. And he sent me a schematic of a map, but I've not forwarded to Philip and I've not forwarded to Kim. We've just received it late this afternoon. I don't think the attorney realized.
If I may, if I may, can I make a suggestion that we table this, because we haven't seen, and nor have they got the permission to run it on county right of way, or do we want them to run it on county right of way? So I think we ought to table this to the next meeting or whatever. So do I need to move and second to table this issue?
Well, it's not really.
It's not
I'm not really asking for a motion at this time. I'll tell the attorney to maybe send that to Kim and to Philip and let them talk to Robert maybe at the work session. If y'all want to, you can have a call meeting and do it and take action if you want to.
All right, we're going to table that right now then. That brings us down to, we're going to change the executive session to get some comments. So what we're going to do at this time, I'm going to turn it over to guests and comments. Anybody got any comments introduce yourself.
Chris Baldwin, and my concern is, I understand that you were ready to repair or fix the bridge, whatever the issue was over on Harbor Trail, and it's been proposed that the road be closed. And mother lives there, of course, I don't, but I am over there very often, almost every day. And it's created an inconvenience issue as far as my way there, you know, and not having to go around the world. And also, on her behalf, it's created a safety issue. She's 81 years old. And if she has to go out and go around by 4 Mile, any of you know, and I hope I don't step on anybody's toes, but over there around that trailer park at Austin Landing, since that road's been blacktopped, it's just like a racetrack.
Right.
And therefore, she goes out by Yellow Creek and has to turn. And if any of you know, or if it may have been brought up in meetings prior to this, Yellow Creek and 53 is one more intersection now. It's just constant traffic. And so it's a danger issue for her. And the other issue is, which you don't have any power over this, is respect from those who have proposed that the road be closed. And I don't know if Mother has anything to say or not, but that's, I would ask that y'all would consider keeping the road open and fixing it for the convenience of the neighborhood and us that live over there, she that lives over there, and our friends and people that have always been there, if that makes any sense.
It does. Thank you very much. The process, Phil, you want to go through the process, and we walk through the process?
Basically, there would be we first have to have a survey of the property to be abandoned, and once that survey is obtained, there will be a public hearing in front of the commissioners where members of the public can speak as to whether or not the public resources being spent on the road repair or the road usage is warranted based upon the public's use of that road. And then the board will balance those concerns and then make a decision as to whether or not to remove it from the county road system. It doesn't necessarily close the road, it just says that the county's not going to maintain it anymore, and any third parties that may or may not have prescriptive rights, that's not what we.
But we just can't, as a board sitting here, we just can't arbitrarily just decide to close the road. We've got to go to these public hearings. Since it's come up and we've had a request to close it, now we've had a request to keep it open, I think the proper thing to do is to have an open hearing, have it posted, let the public, the ones that let them come involved, let them speak their mind on what we think they think we need to do, and take it from that point, get everything in the open, what's going on, and then we'll take it from there. Because there's quite a few options there. If you close it, it's closed. If you open it, we'll have to look at the fact we like to get it up to state standards, which means a one-lane bridge will probably not go back in there, and you might wind up putting a culvert in there and going back over and not have to fool the bridge anymore, and that would be a safety. Get it up to safety standards of the state.
Another thing, which I don't want to get too deep into this, because I know you're going to have a public hearing, just like you said, but I was kind of curious when Mr. Buchanan approached the county X amount of years ago to put that cattle crossing in there. If it's even documented, if it's on any kind of legal documents or anything, or if it was just a handshake kind of deal, whatever, if that be the case, dig the bridge up, haul it off, put down dirt, and crush a run in there, and open the road up and do away with the cattle crossing, because it doesn't pertain to a waterway or anything for any of you that don't know that.
We have took the liberty to go ahead and go up to the clerk's office, and these gentlemen here have went back into the files for Hardy Trail from many years ago. They have determined that the legal right of 40-foot right-of-way has already been issued to Pickens County, not just one area, the whole road, if I'm correct, guys? Majority of it. And that area is got 40-foot of right-of-way through that. Now, whether we got any documentation on this cattle crossing or not, it goes back many years. I don't know, and I don't know if there's anything to that or not. But since the cattle crossing was already there, I wouldn't be opposed to the fact of keeping the cattle crossing there and putting a piece of pipe where the cows can walk through it. Now, if we did it, that might be a safer way than building a little one-lane bridge and repairing it.
That would even be a plus to the properties of those who are objecting to the road being open.
You would think. I'm just going to leave it like that. So anyway,
exactly. And I'll leave my comments right there.
But anyway, let's proceed on with. We haven't set a date yet.
Right.
We're waiting on a survey from the surveyor on that particular area, because we got to define what we're looking at in the closed issue.
Right, I understand that.
So give us some time. We'll get some dates out, and depending which way it goes, we'll have to get this thing resolved as soon as possible, one way or the other.
And I'm not very familiar with public appearances, but as far as notification, when the public mom will be notified, because she's actually has an address on Hardy Trail. When will we know that this public hearing?
There'll be a legal ad run in the paper, as well as the property itself will be posted.
There'll be a sign on the property.
Great, because I sure don't want to miss it.
We'll look forward to it.
Yeah. Any other comments?
Yes, sir.
Just that I feel like I'm going around the world every time I have to come to Jasper. And I was walking, I've not been doing it, coming down here to the gym, the rec gym. And they was while I come to Jasper every day. And that's my way of coming to Jasper, is coming out on this side instead of having to go all the way around on my road, Middle Creek Road. That's my way of coming to Jasper.
Anyway, we appreciate your time, and thanks for letting me speak my piece.
Not a problem. Thank you for being here. Yes, sir.
Before we go, if I could indulge for a minute, we had talked about this either at the work session or last meeting, and then where you wanted us to have a discussion with the planning commission about updating our ordinance or our land use table. They are also in favor of it, and the suggestion came about that maybe the best way of approaching this might be to engage RDC or whoever to come in and look at our current land use map, and then make suggestions for either maybe additional land use classifications or at least an update as to descriptions of particular forms of land use in the grid itself. And so what Richard and I would like to ask is that okay with y'all, and then maybe let land development go and engage with RDCs who did it last time. I don't know if the DCA, and I don't know if they still do that or not, but figure out who's running that show now, and then see what the cost would be, and come back to you and see if you want to engage them at that cost. Would that be all right?
Sounds good.
We'll get to that. Maybe a couple of weeks have some numbers for you.
Okay.
Richard, give a call. RDC over at Rome, Georgia.
What I've done after the planning commission meeting, since during that public meeting it was discussed and the planning commission directed staff to pursue that option, is Ethan Calhoun, who was the planner who worked with us on the comprehensive plan. He, we're very lucky to have him come back again as part of the services that the regional commission provides, and if he in the future lets me know that there will be a service charge over and above the annual dues that we already pay to the regional commission, then he'll send me an invoice, let me know what it is. But for the comprehensive plan, it was rolled into our annual dues. It was no cost over and above what we're already paying them, and so that's my current understanding.
Right.
I know that he will be involved in this, and, you know, I'll let you know if there's cost involved.
Find out as soon as possible. All right, any other comments or questions? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's, we are going to go into executive session. Number one, to discuss and deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or employee, or to interview candidates for executive positions under OCGA 5014-3B2. Number two, to discuss or vote to authorize negotiations to purchase, dispose of, or lease property, authorize ordering an appraisal related to the acquisition or disposal of real estate, enter into a contract to purchase, dispose of, or lease property subject to the approval in a subsequent public vote, or enter into an option to purchase, dispose, or lease real estate subject to approval in a subsequent public vote of OCGA 5014-3B1. And number three, to consult and meet with legal counsel pertaining to pending potential litigation, settlement claims, administrative proceedings, and other judicial actions brought or to be brought by or against the county or an officer or employee, or in which the officer or employee may be directly involved under OCGA 5014-2-1. I need to move in a second that we go into executive session.
Second.
Have a move in a second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That has been approved. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all are welcome to stay. I'm not going to give you a time on how long this executive session can last. And I'm assuming there won't be any decisions made after this executive session, so.
No representations as to whether or not any decisions.
That's correct. No representation as to where any decisions will be made. So at this time, we're going to go into executive session. And if y'all want to go eat supper, y'all enjoy it. Have a great weekend. And we play Gilmer County this weekend for the high school. So, homecoming is this weekend. So, y'all have fun. Be safe. Thank you.